Hello, Aries. Happy full moon. Today is April 8th, and I'm coming to you just a few hours after the full moon happened in the sky. And I wanted to start this reading with a look at the symbolism around this moon because I think it's important. Now, looking at the aspects that it makes, the full moon at 18 Libra is in opposition to the sun at 18 Aries, and the moon makes an inconjunct to Neptune at 19 Pisces. It also makes what I would normally not consider, but in this case, there's some shading of their energy in the symbolism. It makes a wide square to Pluto-Jupiter conjunction at 25 Capricorn. And that Pluto-Jupiter conjunction is sextiling Mercury at 25 degrees Pisces. So there's something about sort of the shadow side, the exploding shadow side, that's going to help us gain some knowledge. And that really comes through if we look at the symbolism. So the Sabian for the moon is a gang of robbers in hiding. Now, this is a relatively simple and instinctive image, and it calls up immediate imagery. It can talk about imminent danger, criminal activity, something being stolen, something bad that has or is about to happen. It can also talk about us and our fear at what we see. And it's interesting because it's a very reactionary image in a very considerate and thoughtful sign of Libra. But I would like to offer some additional considerations. Now, thinking about this image, the question is, who are we in relation to this gang of robbers? Are we the robbers? Are we a store owner? Are we the police? Are we a passerby who sees them? Are they about to rob? Have they already done so? Did someone hire them? Are we sure they're robbers? Like, what tells us? What are the clues that let us know that they're robbers? Who are they robbing for? And if they didn't succeed or go through with it, are they robbers? And as we start to ask different questions about this image, it turns out that something that was really knee-jerkingly simple is actually quite complex as you change the point of view on the situation, right? What you're looking at changes as you look at it from different perspectives. And it's in Libra, so it's about judgments and how quickly we can jump to judgments. But if we do justice by considering alternate perspectives, we see that situations are actually not quite that simple. There may be a need to consider other ways of seeing the same thing that we've already decided we know. We may need to consider other people's perspectives, consider societal factors, consider systemic factors. Now, evolution has perfected that when we're in a panic, our brain reacts. It doesn't think, it just reacts. And if a situation is threatening to our survival, we will not think, consider, but react. However, 99% of our daily panics are not actually threatening to our survival. We may perceive them as such, but they are not actually. And so they are situations that we can carefully consider. And since this moon is making an inconjunct to Neptune, an inconjunct is weird because it always brings a sort of unexpected wave of energy. It's unexpected because we're focused elsewhere, right? And the inconjunct it comes through our blind spot. And so to me, the Neptune here, who wants healing at all levels, healing that lives in the ether, is asking us to break down our immediate judgments or conclusions of right and wrong, of fear or safety, and ask ourselves, is there healing that needs to happen here? So it asks us to consider not gang of criminals hiding or gang of robbers hiding, ergo criminals, put them in jail. Why are those fellow humans stealing? Do they have to? Do they need to? Are they less fortunate? As I'm quick to condemn them, could circumstances beyond my control, and here's that Pluto in the wide square, ever find me in that position? Who are they stealing for? Do they have hungry children at home? Does that make it right or wrong? Is it more right to let your children at home starve? Uh, and these considerations start to open up much bigger ethical questions and deeper considerations. And we don't like situations like this because we don't like to think. And this isn't an insult. It's really just how the brain works. The brain likes to archive its decisions so that it can automate as much as possible of our daily life. However, when we don't consider things carefully, we're never able to adjust our forward trajectory because we are always relying on past snap judgments. We call these heuristics. And when we stick to these snap judgments, we pretty much assure that we will only ever walk the path that we've already walked. And here's the funny thing, because on the other side of the full moon, the sun sits in Aries on a Sabian symbol, which is the magic carpet, right? So, and think about a magic carpet. It has the ability to go anywhere. It takes you to new levels. It allows you freedom, right? It is the sort of opposite of this fear-inducing image. So this full moon to me says, what in your snap judgments have you not considered? What role does spiritual healing play in the shadow situations that arise? What lies beneath the things that we feel fear about? And the thing that we feel instinctively afraid of? What's really going on there? The image isn't enough, right? Our judgments are superficial and shallow and automatic. We need to dig into the who, the what, the why, and the where. Because that thing that's provoking fear for us can actually make sure that something bad is going to happen and something will be stolen is directly opposite this magic carpet. So the thing that takes us wherever we want to go. So to me, and this is a famous, you've probably seen it around on Pinterest or Instagram. The question is, what if everything you ever wanted, magic carpet, was on the other side, 180 degrees, of your fear, of your concern about something being stolen from you, about your fear of loss, about your fear of threatening people, So now, after we do this careful consideration and look into these situations more deeply, it doesn't necessarily mean that our conclusions are going to change. We may realize that no, even if we take the fear out of the situation and we've looked at this from different perspectives, it's still not right for us. But we're now armed with more information, with why it's not right for us, for what about it is not right for us, or what about it causes us fear, who it is that brings us fear and why they do that. This examination offers us new information to help us navigate our next steps, which is rather useful when you're trying to drive a magic carpet. No? So I would invite you in any sort of situation where you have gone into like knee-jerk fear response to really try and examine that situation from different perspectives, from the different owners, stakeholders involved in that situation. What is everybody looking at that same image? What are their considerations about it, right? And try and offer some depth. And if it does cause you fear, what about it's causing you fear? And what about it is telling you that that person is someone to be feared, or that they have done something wrong, or that they're going to do something wrong, right? And in this process of gathering information, this mercurial information about what has control over us, and there's that Pluto and Capricorn, there is a potential for that Neptunian healing that comes through that allows us to really embrace and expand into our magic carpet. Okay, so let's get to the cards. Hello, Aries. Happy full moon. Let's get straight to the reading. I'm going to start by pulling 3 advice cards. Here from the Native Spirit deck, face down, free advice cards for Aries at this full moon, April 8th, 2020. One more, please. Face down. Face down. For Aries. Okay. I guess let's take 4 today. What do you think? Mix things up because it's April. So there we go. 2 and 4. So you can pick from those 4 cards at the end. And then let's get started. Hopefully you've already listened to the symbolism associated with this full moon, so I won't get into it. I'll probably be returning to it. But can I get the energy, please, for Aries? April 8th, 2020 for this full moon. Libra full moon energy. What's the energy for Aries at this Libra full moon? What is, okay, whoa. Cards are eager to talk. Interesting, prayer. So this has come up for us in the past, you know, about turning lemons into lemonade, making choices, not necessarily like either or things, not missing out on opportunities. Let's get the challenge, please. I'll keep that, but I want to get one more. Challenge, please, for Aries at this full moon, April 8th, 2020. Challenge for Aries at the full moon, April 8th, 2020. Okay, interesting. Okay, so this is completion. Right, so it's also the World card. This came up a couple of weeks ago also, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. This resonates a lot with sort of that thing. Oh, interesting. Look at that. So 20 and 21, both major arcanas, both in a row. That's pretty statistically important, right? So this one talks about moving beyond illusion, and this talks about putting the pieces of the puzzle together, right? So being able to see the truth in a situation and finally seeing things clearly, but to a point of closing a chapter. And so this is very much, you know, along with what I was saying, like to dig into things, to look behind things, to get all of the information, download that information that changes the chrysalis into a butterfly, right? Giving you the wings to fly, like that magic carpet image that we were getting. So that you can now, as a complete person, and look where the piece is missing, right? It's all coming in from the third eye. So that download coming in from the third eye that changes the chrysalis, because that's its shape, into a butterfly, is the piece, the missing piece of the puzzle. So this is really talking about gathering information, listening to your intuition, finally putting the pieces of the puzzle together so that you can take on this new form, changing forms, lemon into lemonade. So moving from one state to another, thanks to the information that you've been downloading and really starting a new chapter. So very nice energy here. Can I get, please, the wisdom for Aries for this full moon on April 8th, 2020? So there's sort of a very clear moment of endings, clear moment of leveling up, changing shape, changing form, turning one thing into something else, right? Turning that fear into the engine that pilots your magic carpet, right? Being able to transmute that energy into something useful by being able to look at it, see it, recognize it, articulate it. Funny. And then it says that it's time for a nap, right? So as this moon starts to wane, to like really start to assimilate the information that's been coming into you. So this seems to me that there's like, it's a moment of a lot of downloads coming in, a lot of information coming to you that helps you see clear, may not necessarily be time to take action on that. But also, you know, information that comes in through dreams. That's another thing to look at. I've been having insane dreams recently, like really insane dreams. I mean, my moon is getting hit by both Pluto and Jupiter, but I have been having some nutty dreams. So, and like here, the eyes are closed also. So it's about paying attention to all the messages that come to you. Through your intuition, through your sleep. You might be working through some of these issues as you sleep. Can I get the energy coming into this full moon and the end of the full moon? Beginning and end of the full moon energy. 2 cards, please, for the beginning and the end of the full moon energy. Okay, interesting. Wishing well. So that's kind of this. Like, what do you want? What do you hope for? Also, like breaking off the pieces, you know, of what you want into small bite-sized things, into like puzzle pieces. Because I was going to say, I can't really tell if these are floating up or coming down. But you see, it's about putting together all the little pieces into a much bigger whole. And oh, that doesn't go there. And sort of examining the fragments, taking the fragments and turning them into something together, right? So either taking this giant wish, how do I take this giant wish and break it down into little doable pieces? Or taking all of the clues that have been coming along the way into how they fit into a much bigger picture, right? What is the change of state here? What makes those lemons turn into lemonade? How does the city turn into an into a natural setting, right? So there's very much a clear change of state here. Transformation, transition. One more card, please. And it may go in either of the 2 directions, right? Taking the tiny pieces together to put them into a bigger whole, or understanding what that big giant wish is and how you break it down into doable pieces. Okay, commitment in the reverse. Let me take a look at what this means at 36. And I was just thinking that these are all multiples of 12, right? So we have, not these 2, but 24, 48, 36. I don't know what that means, but it just occurred to me while I was shuffling. You know, it's kind of like exponential growth, right? To the second, to the third kind of things. All right, so 36, hold on. Okay, so you may be walking into a commitment or contract you will later regret. This isn't a good time to sign agreements or make any choice that would tie you up for a long period. Interesting. If you're in a relationship, you may not receive the commitment you desire. Don't despair, for something much better awaits you. Now is also the time for agreements to be broken. Remember that rejection is God's protection. What hurts you now leads to wisdom later. So that's interesting. So this actually can also be like, as this progression, it's like maybe something that you were wishing for. See how it's like breaking into the pieces here also. Something that you were wishing for, if it kind of falls apart at this moment, perhaps that was for your own protection because there is something better waiting for you down the road. And so to, you know, sort of let things, to examine things again. I keep getting this again, changing of state, but changing of state through putting pieces of the puzzle together, right? So, you know, maybe it was a wish, and once you've broken down in those pieces, right? Like here's what I definitely want. I break down these little, what I want, into little pieces, and as I discover with this person or this job or this contract, whatever, the pieces are not actually adding up to the kind of commitment that I want. So also being respectful of maintaining the vision of your wishing well, right? Like, so if you have a vision of a full mask, don't accept the pieces. Wait until you have all of the pieces of information so you can see if it's actually the mask or not, right? Like, so what do I want? Are the pieces of this situation adding up to what I want or not? Am I trying to force feed puzzles to make it something that it isn't? So, and being wary of committing to something that isn't exactly what it is, right? So if you, this is finding like how to turn sort of a negative situation into a positive, but it can also be not settling, right? You don't have to accept, how it's about how to transform things into what you want. Now, as I said in the original symbolism, this is really about, you may do the examination of the thing that you're looking at. You have this fear in front of you that's blocking you from moving forward into your magic carpet, into flying into your next level, into finishing this transformation from one stage to another, from chrysalis to butterfly. After you've done the evaluation, looked at all the pieces of the puzzle, you may still come to the conclusion that this is not something that is for you. But through the process of understanding the pieces of the dream, right? Understanding what the pieces of the dream are, then you can put them back together better, right? So if you understand what all the pieces are that make up your ideal situation, then when you don't see them, you're able to recognize faster in the future and without emotion that it isn't something for you, right? And that comes through the understanding of like the raw materials, right? You have to understand all the bits and pieces that go into what your dream is to understand where the weak link is, or where things are falling apart, where you're trying to jam pieces into a puzzle that just doesn't fit. Can I get 3 cards, please, for Aries for this full moon? And you may be starting to realize now at this full moon that indeed the pieces don't add up. Oh, Jesus. That's funny that the only card that was there was that 10 of Cups. I'm going to take the cards that are on the floor face up, and there's 4 of them. So, okay. So what do we have here? We have a 3 of Wands, right? Waiting for ships to come in. We have 4 of Pentacles. Something is not giving. And I'm going to kind of put this here, like this image, right? This prayer. Here's the wish. Here's the wish, and here's the information, right? So I don't know what, I'll just put these in sort of like numerical order here, 3, 4, 8, 10. But this seems to me to be the overriding thing, is that as we look, okay, so if you're dealing with this situation, like you have a very clear vision of what you want. You have a very clear vision. You know what your dream is, clear vision, right? And something's not giving or not budging or firm. It breaks down. It will be broken down into pieces of information that come to you that allow you to sort of reach that conclusion, right? So if things have not been budging, if somebody is holding back, if somebody is not communicating, they're not sharing, they're not, what you will be getting as a result of this full moon is, I would say, a lot of information coming towards you that's going to make the situation much clearer, right? Because you're waiting for things to happen, and then they suddenly happen. I would normally say that's great, except that there's this card that says be careful, right? So here's what I would advise, given these cards here. If you have articulated to yourself exactly what it is that you want, what you're working towards, right? Like what your vision of happiness is. And you have been seeking this out, waiting for this vision to come to you, waiting for the pieces, right? Because they're boats coming towards him. So they come one at a time, waiting for all of these things to come to you. And what's been coming to you is less than what you hoped for, or not enough, because you wanted 10 cups and you've only got 4 pentacles. It seems to me that things will move rather quickly in this moment for you to come to that understanding, right? That these 4 of pentacles are not your 10 of cups. If, however, again, always talking about having done the due diligence of analyzing very clearly what are the pieces of your dream, what makes up the components of your dream, and you've been waiting for them, this will bring in all the pieces that you need to understand, whether it's this or not, right? So instead of 4 pentacles, you may get 8 wands, right? Is that close enough to what you were hoping for? It seems like information is going to come in. You will get enough, and it may happen quickly. You will get enough in order to be able to make a decision. The question is, if you want the 10 of cups, don't settle for the 4 of pentacles, right? And 8 wands may be closer to what you're hoping for, or the 8 wands may give you the understanding that this is not, those wands may come and just knock that guy off of his chair. But don't confuse one with the other, right? Be very clear on your vision, very clear on, also, sorry, there's another thing that came to me, very clear on where you are holding you back, right? So don't settle for less than, if this is what you want, but also where is your fear and your inability to give getting in the way? Where is your tendency to engage with emotionally unavailable people the problem, right? And that's going to start to break itself down so that you can see it as individual pieces. And anything that is taken from you in this moment is for your higher good. So if you have, like I said, if you've done the due diligence, you know what it is that makes up the pieces of your dream, and they are starting to come together, I think you'll see that relatively quickly. If you have a very good idea of the dream, but you are settling for something less than, that too will start to come to you quickly, and you'll see things fade away. And so I would say don't be afraid of that which is taken from you, particularly in terms of relationships in this moment. But be very clear. This is the process to me that is really so important, is being very clear on what you want, being very clear on the pieces that make up what you want, right? It's not like I want somebody who's emotionally available, but they have, I want them to have this or this or that or this. Like, these are the things that are important to me. These are the things that I'm willing to wait for. These are the things, my necessary ones that make up my vision of the 10 of Cups, right? And then don't confuse them. If they're not what you want, then let it go. Let it fly off. Okay, that seems right. So gather the pieces, understand the pieces, the who, the what, the why, the where. Look at your fears. Look at where you're holding yourself back. Look at where your fears are your obstacle to your 10 of Cups for you flying away on your magic carpet. Understand the dynamics of that. Look at the situation from different perspectives. Even if you've already decided that it's not for you or that it is for you, look at it again from numerous viewpoints, right? And it's interesting. The only thing we're missing here is the swords, but it's like this, we have all three, the other three here. So it's like looking at the same thing from different perspectives can bring new information, right? This could also be like, here's the three ways you could look at the exact same situation. Are you perceiving, is it really the 10 of Cups, or is it the 4 of Pentacles? Or are you constantly waiting on things to come to you, right? So like, what are the different ways of looking at the situation in which you find yourself in now? What role does your fear and your judgments play, pre-existing judgments play in how you're viewing this situation? What else can be learned from what you're dealing with now in order to sort of piece the puzzle, put the pieces of the puzzle together to transform from one state to another, to put the pieces of your wishes into a bigger dream, to let it fly, right? To understand how the fears are feeding into stopping yourself, but also what about the fears are the pieces that you need to examine more. I hope this is clear. I feel like I might be repeating myself 1,000 times, so I'm going to stop here. It's just very much about understanding, breaking down into pieces what it is that you want, right? And being able to articulate those and identify those, but in a way that is thoroughly thought out and considered, as opposed to snap judgments. Okay, let's start with these. This card here is Trickster. Interesting. So let's read that one. It's an unusual energy, these cards, I have to say. Okay, but we did say there was new energy coming in. So here we go. Things are not as bad as they seem. Something that seems bad may be in fact good, and vice versa. Don't take everything at face value. Okay, so that was what we were talking about. Look beneath the surface. This card encourages you to try to find humor or gentle amusement in seemingly difficult situations. It also encourages you to have irrepressible fun. Step out of the mold. Your native spirit wants you to know, in indigenous traditions, there is a concept of the tricksters. In Native American tradition, the trickster is often depicted as a wily coyote, but sometimes the trickster is a human called Heyoka. This is a lighthearted, fun aspect of the trickster, but there's also the caution to tread carefully because things are not always as they seem. Be discerning. What appears to be a good opportunity may in fact not be. The wonderful aspect of this card, choosing you, is that it offers the opportunity to step out of old, outmoded ways of perceiving yourself. The trickster allows you to see yourself in an entirely new way and asks you to step out of old routines and habits that might be keeping you stagnant. Interesting. All right, I'm going to give you this meditation here that it says. So the journey, it might sound very strange, but the easiest way to activate the energy of this card is to howl like a coyote. If you can, it's even better to do it during the light of the full moon. Ooh, so any of you who picked that, you know what you'll be doing this afternoon. This breaks up stagnant energies and brings in fresh vitality. Interesting. So that was kind of like, and it feeds into that Sabian symbol of the robbers. Like, are they robbers or are they, not? Um, I can't think of what was the guy who's still Robin Hood. There's two ways to look at everything. So that's also what's kind of coming up here. It's like it could either be better than it seems or it could be worse than it seems, but you have to like break it down and look at it from a different perspective in order to understand that. Smudging ceremony. Okay, so let's see that one. Okay, so let go of the past, purify, detox, release whatever doesn't serve or support you in life. Cleanse your body and environment by doing space clearing and clutter clearing. Let go of the old, discarded, and unused to make way for new energy and new beginnings. Eat lightly, drink lots of fresh water, and consume food with strong life force. Your native spirit wants you to know that smudging is a native tradition that involves using the smoke of burning herbs to symbolically wash a space in a ceremonial manner. Sometimes your energy field or the energy field of your environment becomes so cluttered and dingy that you can't see the world around you clearly, and you have trouble hearing the messages from your soul. Interesting, that's that. When you take the time to purify yourself and your environment, not only do you feel lighter and brighter, but you're also a clearer channel for the light. The brilliance that pours through you can heal and help many people, but first the path has to be clear. The journey here is using the smoke of incense or sage. Cup your hands into the smoke and wash over the top of your head, saying, "That I think clearly." Interesting. Then cup the smoke to your eyes, saying, "That I may see the truth." Next, bring the smoke to your throat area, saying, "That I may speak the truth." Finally, waft the smoke to your heart area, saying, "That my heart be open." Okay, let's look at this one. This is the Warrior of the Heart. So let's see what that has to bring. But it's interesting, they're all kind of talking about stepping out of the old, changing form, but like doing it through a different perspective of viewing you and your situation. So, Warrior of the Heart, you have the radiant spirit of a warrior of the light. Be impeccable in all of your actions. No matter what others believe, the Creator knows the truth. This isn't the time to be timid and pull back. Immense courage is filling you. Throw your shoulders back, step forward, and take a risk. Be willing to live life from your heart rather than your mind. Honor your truth. Speak up for yourself. Your native spirit wants you to know the greatest native warriors weren't the ones who wounded the most people. They were those remarkable beings who had such personal power that enemies laid down their weapons rather than fight. There are times in life to step back and even times to walk away, but there are also times to stand up for yourself and those less advantaged. Don't allow yourself to be limited by your belief system. Courage doesn't mean that you aren't afraid. Fearless means just that, fear less. Acknowledge that you're frightened and take action anyway. Face your anxiety and go beyond the boundaries of limited perceptions of yourself. Through your example, people find and act on their truth. You're a light bearer for others. The journey. List everything that you are afraid of. Then next to that list, write every reason why it's important to overcome that fear. In other words, what is that fear costing you? Then make a list of the various ways that you can overcome that fear. Incredible. I love it when the readings tie together. And then finally we have the Song of the Wild with that lovely little rainbow there like we have in the Ten of Cups. Let's see here. New horizons await you. You're ready to savor the wonders of the world. Take some risks. So it's interesting. These two are kind of like on the same vibe, and these are on the same vibe. Answer the call of the wild. Step out of your comfort zone. Live passionately. Take steps in the direction of freedom. Expand beyond your limitation and boundaries. Maybe it's time to take a journey or do something new and exciting. Your native spirit wants you to know you are entering a period of expansion and going beyond your self-imposed limitations. Even if you feel hesitant, this is a time to try something new and do things in a different way. You might even visit far-off lands or wild natural places. Maybe virtually. Adventure often entails risk, but without it, life can become lackluster and stagnant. There's a vast, new, and wondrous vista just around the corner, but you will never see it if you don't venture out. The journey is plan a trip. Take some classes that get you out of your comfort zone. Try new styles. Do the same things that you've always done, but in a new and different way. Push beyond your boundaries. Step out of character. Spend time in the wilderness. Okay, so amazing. So there's really a lot going on, and there's a lot of different stories going on here. Themes. Understanding what's behind your fear. Is it justified? Is it not justified? Is your fear blocking you from flying off onto your magic carpet? Right? Looking at situations from different perspectives. The same stimulus changes shape depending on the angle that you look at it from. There's that old cartoon of a 6 here, and one person sees the 6 and one person sees the 9, right? So considering those multiple perspectives of what's going on. Understanding the true pieces of your dream. Understanding what your dream requires in order to change shape from lemons to lemonade. What process needs to happen? If you want lemonade, but you don't have lemons, understanding that that's not going to happen, and letting that go, and working with what you have in front of you, right? So actually seeing the truth of what's in front of you to be able to turn it into its true, as you transform it into something that's real, right? So if life has given you oranges, you cannot make lemonade, no matter how hard you try and push that piece in. Others, it's also about finally getting downloads needed to change those shapes, right? Getting the final piece of the puzzle that you realize the bigger picture of what's been going on. Getting those downloads that come to you in your sleep or as a dream, necessary change to happen, wishes coming true. So finally putting together the pieces that you've been working on into a much bigger wish, and some of us will be getting that. Some of us will be losing. The wish will go in the opposite direction. Something we thought was right will break itself down into pieces. So leaving room for us for something better to come in. Either way, do a double examination on what you have in front of you. Make sure it's as good as you think, it's as bad as you think. Examine. Mercury is often the trickster, and since he's still in Pisces, things are going to come intuitively, but you have to seek out the truth when Mercury is in Pisces, because it's a little murky. Okay, very, very full reading, lots of different things. Hope this was useful, and I wish you a very happy full moon. And for those of you who will be howling this afternoon, enjoy that. Take care.